Hey up, Sofa Squad, and welcome to this live stream all about the phenomenon, if that's the right word, of the 27 Club. This is, this is something that I've been wanting to talk about for ages, but for one reason or another, I've never, really got round to it. And so I thought I'd set up this stream. Hello, Nerdy. Nerdy is saying, I prefer the 28 Club. It's one older. Yeah, it's very droll. But Nerdy, let me know if you want in, and I'll send you a link. So I thought I'd set up this stream to chat about it, because I think it's interesting anyway. And some people think it's, there's something spooky behind it. Some people think it's a conspiracy. Others say it's just a coincidence. That's the rock and roll lifestyle. But what is the 27 Club? Well, I'm gonna read a bit from history.com, because they've done an article about it. And because basically the 27 Club is a phenomenon that a lot of quite a lot of famous musicians and artists died at the age of 27. And the first one of those musicians was Robert Johnson. And it says here, he was born 100 years ago in rural Mississippi. The blues singer and guitarist Robert Johnson garnered little attention during his lifetime, but was rediscovered in the 60s, influencing numerous rock and roll pioneers. According to legend, Johnson sold his soul to the devil in exchange for his mighty talent, which he demonstrated on street corners throughout the Mississippi Delta and in the 29 songs he recorded between 1936 and 1937. Famously partial to women and whiskey, Johnson was allegedly poisoned by a lover's jealous boyfriend or husband. And I think I remember hearing elsewhere that the reason this rumor started that he sold his soul to the devil, comes from the lyrics of one of his most famous songs, the Crossroad, where he sings about meeting the devil on at a crossroads. See if I can bring up. I'll see if I can bring up the lyrics. If you'll just bear with me. Let's no, I can't. I'll hang on. Robert Johnson. Here we go. Yeah, the lyrics go, I went to the crossroads, fell down on my knees. I went to the crossroads, fell down on my knees. Ask the Lord above, have mercy now, save poor Bob, if you please. Standing at the crossroads, tried to flag a ride. I tried to flag a ride. Then nobody seemed to know me. Everybody passed me by. Standing at the crossroads, rising sun going down. Standing at the crossroads, baby. The rising sun going down. I believe to my soul now, poor Bob is sinking down. But there's nothing in that song about him selling his soul to the devil. So where it comes from, I'm not sure. Um, but that that rumor. Oh hell, hang on. Nerdy is saying if you take the first letter of all the names in the 27 Club, it makes a surprising anagram. Is that so? um, but apparently, apparently that rumor that Robert Johnson sold his soul to the devil in exchange for his amazing guitar playing skills, and this is this has fueled the conspiracy theories that this is why so many rock stars, died at the age of 27, and become members of this macabre club, because they did a deal with the devil, for in exchange for their talent, so in exchange for fame and fortune, albeit a short-lived fame and fortune. um, but anyway, the article goes on. Brian Jones, a founding member of the Rolling Stones, along with Mick Jagger and Keith Richards. Brian Jones developed a severe substance abuse problem that by the mid-60s had taken a toll on his health, landed him in jail, and alienated him from his bandmates. He was forced out of the group in June 1969. The following month, Jones was found dead at the bottom of his swimming pool. Police reported that he had drowned while under the influence of alcohol and drugs. Recently, new evidence has suggested that foul play may have had a hand in his death at the age of 27. So, that's interesting. Robert Johnson, was famous for having a love of whiskey, and living a reckless lifestyle. And Brian Jones, it seems that alcohol and drugs were involved in his death as well. So, so that could, alcohol and drugs, I've got, could play a factor, and I can't help but think that, that if you live a reckless lifestyle, booze and drugs, you're going to die young. You're going to die before you reach 30, and it's just a coincidence that that all of these people happen to die at the age of 27. But if you're watching this after after the fact, let me know in the comments what you think. I I was hoping for a bit more of an audience, but never mind. Oh, hang on, I've got a message. Let me see. Nothing there. Nothing on that one. No. Okay. So the next. Oh yeah, nerdy. Thanks for your comments. The candle that burns twice as bright burns half as long. Is that a quote from Blade Runner? I think it might be, but I think you're right as well. Yeah, I think there's some truth in that too. So the next one, in this article in history.com, Alan Blind Owl Wilson, known as Blind Owl because of his poor vision, Alan Wilson headed up the American blues band Canned Heat, which performed at Woodstock in 1969. A songwriter, guitarist, and harmonica player, he famously re-taught the aging blues legend Son House, who had been living in obscurity for decades, how to play his own songs. Wilson, who struggled with mental illness, had previously attempted suicide, succumbed to a drug overdose in September 1970, becoming the first of three acclaimed musicians to die at the age of 27 that year. Now, perhaps one of the most famous members of this club, Jimi Hendrix, remembered as one of the greatest electric guitarists in history, Jimi Hendrix revolutionized rock and roll as both an artist and a producer during his brief 4-year career. He died in London, September 1970, asphyxiating on his own vomit while sleeping. His girlfriend claimed that Hendrix, a heavy drug user who was particularly fond of LSD, had washed down a handful of sleeping pills with red wine before going to bed. So yeah, there you go. Again, you see, you know, alcohol and drugs related again, and of course, Jimi Hendrix. Actually, so someone will have to correct me if I'm wrong here, because but I'm pretty certain that he had bipolar as well. He had bipolar disorder as well. In those days known as manic depression, and he even wrote a song about it. And so I think he certainly had mental health issues as well, as being addicted to drugs and alcohol. So unfortunately, it's not surprising that he died young. But but I'm a huge fan of Jimi Hendrix. I grew up listening to him actually because my dad, was and well still is a huge fan of Jimi Hendrix, and he would often play, his records in the car, and so I grew up listening to Jimi Hendrix, and I love his music. He's a legend. His music still lives on today, decades later. And yeah, he had he only had a short career, unfortunately. Janis Joplin, another rock legend. Born in Texas, Janis Joplin won over the San Francisco music scene with her bluesy vocals and powerful stage presence, first as the lead singer of Big Brother and the Holding Company, and later as a solo artist. Despite multiple attempts to get clean, she became increasingly addicted to heroin and alcohol as her career skyrocketed. She died of a heroin overdose in October 1970, less than 3 weeks after the death of fellow rock icon Jimi Hendrix. And again, another favorite of my dad's, and she's become one of my favorites as well. And again, her life tragically cut short, due to drugs and alcohol. That and again, died at the age of 27. Jim Morrison, another famous member of this club, lead singer of The Doors. A poet and avid reader of philosophy, Jim Morrison rose to prominence as the lead singer and lyricist of The Doors, a band he founded with a friend in 1965. By 1969, his drinking had become a problem, making him late for performances and fueling raucous onstage behavior. In July 1971, Morrison died of a heart attack apparently caused by a heroin overdose while living in Paris. It is thought that he mistook the drug for cocaine and snorted a fatal amount. Um, and kind of like, kind of like what happened to Mrs. Wallace in Pulp Fiction. A similar thing happened to her. She mistook a rather um, strong patch of heroin for for cocaine. She she thought it was cocaine, snorted it, and very nearly died. But unfortunately, in real life, Jim Morrison did die again at the age of 27. Oh, we've got the African humanist with us. Hello, hello, welcome. Um, Again, let me know if you'd like to participate, and I'll link you up. But welcome. Thanks for joining. And next, Ron Pigpen McKernan, a founding member of the Grateful Dead. Ron McKernan, who went by the nickname Pigpen, did not share his bandmates' predilection for LSD and other psychedelic drugs. However, his heavy drinking caused him to develop cirrhosis. In 1970 and by 1972, his health had become so fragile he could no longer tour. He died of an internal hemorrhage in March 1973, again aged 27. So no drugs involved this time, but alcohol, yet certainly. And of course, one of my heroes, Kurt Cobain, lead singer of Nirvana, one of my favorite bands of all time. An icon of the Seattle grunge scene, Kurt Cobain formed Nirvana with a friend in 1985. The band achieved mainstream success in the early 90s. Under a glaring public spotlight, Cobain struggled with mental illness, chronic health problems, and heroin addiction. He committed suicide in April 1994, leaving behind his wife, the musician Courtney Love, and their baby daughter. And I think I seem to remember because I'm a bit of an old duffer. I was there at the time. I seem to remember it was when Kurt Cobain died that interest in the 27 Club really began to take off. It, it more and more people started talking about it. When Kurt Cobain died. Amy Winehouse, of course, more recently, an English singer-songwriter whose powerful voice and unique style won her numerous awards and honors. Amy Winehouse battled drug and alcohol addiction for years. Her substance abuse problems were frequent tabloid fodder and inspired some of her songs, most notably the hit Rehab. On July 23rd, 2011, Winehouse was found dead in her London apartment, become the latest musician to have their career cut tragically short at age 27. And there are more. There are more artists than that. Let me see if I can bring up another article, because I'm sure there's more than that. If you'll just bear with me. The 27 Club. Right. Okay, so there's a whole list of people on Wikipedia. Alexandra Levy. I've never. So some of the he was a composer, pianist, and conductor. Official cause of death unknown. I'm gonna see. I'll see if I can share this actually. So people, you guys can watch, who are watching, and people who are watching after, later on after the fact, can see this. Share the screen. Wikipedia. So yeah, official cause of death unknown. I've never heard of him before, actually, but if people have heard of these people, Alexandra Levy, let me know. But he died age 27. Henry Evenepoel, not sure if I pronounced that right, died October 3rd, 1872. Official cause of death, typhus. Belgium Favism artist. Actually, Robert Johnson we've already talked about. Nat Jaff, swing jazz pianist, died August the 5th, 1945. Official cause of death, complications from high blood pressure. Jesse Belvin, died February the 6th, 1960. Traffic collision. R&B singer, pianist, and songwriter. Rudy Lewis, vocalist of the Drifters. Yeah, I've heard of the Drifters. Official cause of death, drug overdose. Joe Henderson, R&B gospel singer, heart attack. Rockin' Robin Roberts, original member and singer of the Fabulous Wailers, car crash. Malcolm Hale, poisoning, carbon monoxide. Original member and lead guitarist of Spanky and Our Gang. And there's loads. Brian Jones, we've already talked about. Alexandra, we've already talked about. Alan Wilson, Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin. Linda Jones, complications from diabetes, soul singer. And all these people as well. Is there anyone else that I've heard of, and some of you may have heard of? Kurt Cobain, we've talked about. Christian Pfaff, drug overdose, heroin, bass guitarist for Hole, and Courtney, Kurt Cobain's wife, her band, and Jennifer Joe. She died age 27. Of course, Richie Edwards. He was in one of my favorite bands of all time, the Manic Street Preachers. Disappeared, officially presumed dead, November the 23rd, 2008. Stretch, a rapper, murdered. Fat Pat, murdered. Freaky Tar, murdered. Cammy died of subarachnoid hemorrhage. drummer for Malice Miser. Um, there's loads here. Amy Winehouse, we've discussed her already. So yeah, a lot of people. There's a lot of famous people died at the age of 27. Oh, hello, Spooky. Spooky's joined us. Welcome. um, so yeah, it's an interesting phenomenon. Uh, but I I think, but I personally don't think there's anything um, supernatural or spiritual or spooky about it. I just think that it's just an unfortunate fact that if you live a reckless, drug fueled, alcohol fueled lifestyle, you're going to die young. It's probable that you're going to die before you reach 30. Before you reach 30, and it's just a coincidence that all these famous people happen to die at the age of 27. And but there's a couple of people that I want to talk about. I um I'm a huge fan of the band New Order. But before they were New Order, they were Joy Division, and the lead singer was called Ian Curtis. Now, I always, I've always thought that he died at the age of 27 as well. Uh, but there seems to be a Mandela effect. Spooky is saying nothing to do with me. No, it's nothing to do with you, Spooky. Don't worry. I'm sure it's nothing to do with you anyway. um, yeah. Oh, yeah. He said earlier, Courtney Love. That's the surname I couldn't think of earlier. But Ian Curtis, I thought he died at the age of 27, but he actually died at the age of 23. Um, he he tragically took his own life. The age of 23. On the 18th of May, 1980, age 23, not 27, as I previously thought. Um, It says on Wikipedia, on the evening of the 17th of May, 1980, Curtis asked Deborah to drop her impending divorce proceedings. She replied that it was likely that he would have changed his mind by the following morning. And then, mindful of his previous suicide attempt and also concerned that his state of anxiety and frustration might drive Curtis into an epileptic fit, offered to spend the night in his company. Deborah then drove to her parents' home to inform them of her intentions. When she returned to the couple's home at 77 Barton Street in Macclesfield, Cheshire, his demeanour had changed, and he informed his wife of his intention to spend the night alone, first making her promise not to return to the house before he had taken his scheduled 10 a.m. train to Manchester to meet up with his bandmates. In the early hours of the next morning, Curtis died by suicide at the age of 23. So there you have it. He still died tragically young, but not a member of the 27 Club. Also, I also thought that Buddy Holly was a member of the 27 Club as well. But again, this turns out to be a Mandela effect. He died at the age of 20. He died at the age of 22. In fact, he died in a plane crash. Along with the Big Bopper and who else? Another famous singer as well who died tragically young. Anyway, but he died at the age of 22, not 27, as I thought. So, not a member of the 27 Club. And so there's someone else that I want to look into as well. Yeah, Sid Vicious, member of the Sex Pistols. He was the bassist and the vocalist for the Sex Pistols. I always thought that he died at the age of 27. I always thought that he was a member of the 27 Club, but actually he died on the 2nd of February 1979, age 21. And yeah, it says in Wikipedia, let me bring. Yeah, on the evening of the 1st of February 1979, a small group of friends, including Jerry Only of the Misfits and future D-Generation founding member Harry Pyro, gathered at the Manhattan apartment of Vicious's new girlfriend, Michelle Robinson, at 63 Bank Street in New York City in order to celebrate his having made bail. Because he was accused of murdering his former girlfriend. His former girlfriend, Nancy Spudgen. Spungen, even. Vicious, it says, Vicious was on a detoxification methadone program during his time at Rikers Island, but at the dinner gathering, Vicious had a friend, English photographer Peter Kodik, deliver him heroin. Vicious died sometime in the night from an overdose and was discovered by his mother, Anne Beverly, early the next morning. But not at the age of 27, as I thought, at the age of 21. So there you have it. There are three famous people there. Who, though I thought were part of the 27 Club, actually died younger, which makes me think that there's nothing supernatural or there's no conspiracy. It's just that if you live recklessly, you're going to die young. And it's just a coincidence that many quite a few people died at the age of 27, but others, as we've just seen, died younger than that even. And I think that's all I wanted to say about this. So really, I was hoping that more people would, would join, and but never mind. Oh, the African Humanist is saying, I loved Amy Winehouse. Yeah, so did I actually. Yeah, she was great. Well, music, lives on. It lives on through her music. She had an amazing voice. A real tragedy. So anyway, Robert X, yes, you are late, but welcome. But I'm just about to finish actually, because I've said everything that I wanted to say, and I think I'm going to leave it there. If you want to support my channel, you can. I've put links in the description to Patreon and Ko-fi, and I've got a Discord as well, and I've put a link to my Discord in the description too, if you want to join my Discord. So yeah, if you've liked this video, then greetings, sentient beings. Hello, Purple. You joined just as I'm saying goodbye. But if you've liked this video, give me a thumbs up. And if you've got an idea of something that you'd like to chat with me about, then let me know, and we'll do a live stream about it maybe. But until then, bye for now.